Is it going? OBS says it's going, but I don't see it on YouTube. Is it going or not? I was hoping to avoid this, but... because I've streamed before, briefly, years ago. So that would be... oh, it's going! Okay. Okay, there's supposed to be a description. Okay. Okay. I have a PNG tuber avatar. Okay. I'm like... I had... this isn't... I was not ready to start. Okay, I have to clean stuff up a little bit. Okay. Select stream. Okay, I have this one. Okay. Whew. And then the music. I had music I had prepared. I was like... I had all this stuff planned, and now it's... okay. So... it's going, right? where is it again? Just trying to make sure I'm doing it right. Sorry to the people who are watching. There is supposedly one person watching. Okay, I opened it, and... okay. It is going. It's been going for 2 minutes. Okay. So... there's maybe a person watching. I don't know if that just shows one because it's me. I'm mostly talking to people who were... who would be watching the recording of this. Because this is going to be made, hopefully, so that people can watch the recording of it. This is a live stream where I'm going to be rambling about ideas I have about Fear and Hunger lore, and hopefully answering questions depending on the amount of people that show up. Where's my... okay, there's the chat. Okay. I don't have an easy way to look at that. I don't have, like, multiple monitors or anything, so I have to pull it up, like, on its own. I have a warning about the stream. What is this? The stream's current bitrate is low. Okay, whatever. The music currently playing is... I just put the entire Look Outside soundtrack on. I believe the audio should... the, like, volume should be good. I paid attention to that. I turned it down slightly to be safe, but I think it's good. I unturned it down. So, making... I got requests to make more videos like the Lagarde one, and the thing is, those take a long time to make. They're, like, you know, I have to write them and be sure that I got the writing right, and then I have to record it, and then probably re-record it, and then editing the audio takes a really, really long time, and then editing the video is like the fastest part in the end, but that still also is a bunch of work. Like, I have to find all the relevant clips and then play the game and try to find all of them. So, to try and do this faster, I'm just gonna be talking on a live stream, and then hopefully answering any questions, because the second reason I'm doing this is, for a while, I've wanted to try talking to Mao Zedong, or Mythonics now, about Fear and Hunger lore, or unlike. And years ago, he did a stream like this, and I'm like, I'll copy the idea, as practice. Right? So as practice I can, I do this, and then maybe I'll be ready to do it later. I apparently have 2 concurrent viewers. Okay, let's start going. So, Let's see, is there a page for this character? This is one of my theories I want to talk about. So, High Priestess Selene, an unseen character, very little information, this is all accurate. It's only mentioned twice. Captain's Diary 3 or probably 2. Captain's Diary 2. And then the Torturer's Notes. Okay. So it's mainly mentioned here, I believe. Oh no, okay, named in this one. So, some boring stuff, and then... What is that noise? Okay, it's the Wizard's Journey 1, apparently. So, Captain Rudimer took our big war criminal away from my reach. I get a feeling that High Priestess Selene would like to, or wants to have her way with that beautiful man. Of course, Captain Rudimer is completely oblivious to their true agenda, not like I make a very trustworthy advisor to him. He doesn't believe anything I say. He's under the impression I'm a complete savage who's lost his mind. So, sounds kind of important here, and is clarified, like, also important here. The High Priest demanded that we give them our prized prisoner, Lagarde of the Midnight Sun. I hesitated at first, after all his worth, blah blah blah, but those priests somehow convinced higher-ups of their ways. Lagarde was transferred to the lower levels below the mines. So, seemingly, I mean, the High Priests don't... The High Priestess Selene is seemingly, like, similar level of authority to Captain Rudimer, but probably kind of separate, and, like, you know, told the higher-ups, hey, convince the kingdom, transfer Lagarde to the lower levels, and... what was it? I guess that's what I was saying. It's not super... So, thing is, you don't ever see Selene. It's a pretty mysterious character, just mentioned in these two books. But they sound important, right? This seems like an important person. For comparison, I don't think... I guess there's a few... there's not many other characters that are named that were in the dungeon before anything weird happened. I believe, I mean, there's like the small graveyard, but obviously they are in the graves. I'm turning the volume down on the music slightly. So they're in the graves. So that's where they are. We know that. And like there's some books about supposedly relevant characters like the chef. But people we know that were in the dungeon: Torture, Captain Rudimer, High Priestess Selene. And Torture, we know what happened to him. You can meet him. He didn't even transform or anything. He's just the way that he was. he's everything's completely normal to him. And Captain Rudimer becomes Crow Mauler. Right, I think in some situation you can drop one of the Captain's Diaries. So, you know, what happened to High Priestess Selene then? If we know what happened, we know exactly what happened to them. So what happened to High Priestess Selene? Now there is a present theory that she is Nilvin in disguise. And I believe the main reason for that is just Nilvin is messing around with the Lagarde, and so somebody else messing around with the Lagarde could be Nilvin. But I mean, it's not much like specific about that, and it seems a little weird to me because, like, okay, Nilvin in disguise. I mean, why would Nilvin have this disguise? It's a high priest, so it's like a person of rank. I don't know. Maybe it's... I got, like, weird logistical concerns that maybe aren't super important, but make me want to look at something else. So, I've had the idea of looking where we know she would be. She's at the bottom level where Lagarde is kept prisoner. So let's look at the rest of the bottom level. So we have, if we start here, we have a Night Lurch. Probably not. We have a regular guard over here. Probably not. An elite guard over here. Also probably not. She was not a guard of the prison. She was a priest, and the Night Lurch was a prisoner. Let me get Hall of the Gods. This is a very helpful page, because you can look at all of the old gods' answers. So, yeah, a prisoner. Also, the, like, stinger, but it's not outside of the God of the Depths capabilities to change that, so, I mean, the other stuff is, like, definitive, I think. So, if we look around the floor, there is this dead body of a woman, so that could be High Priestess Celine. It's a bit of a disappointing answer, but that is possible. I suppose the mines are nearby. Okay, oh, here it is. And in the mines, there is the wolf masks, labeled here fox mask. I think that's kind of funny. So, could be in that, though we know Diary of which is that? Unknown Guard. So this is the story of the wolf masks and how they got there. So they started... The remaining troops took refuge in the mines. Captain Rutimer set foot to the underground city of the cave dwellers. So it seems... I guess the High Priestess Celine could be in this. Though I would say probably not. Like, there's no specific reason, but that's an available explanation. Okay, so what I would say, though, let's look somewhere else near where... Oh, is my mouse visible? I should make it visible, because I'm moving it around. And I often... Okay, I forgot to capture cursor. It's here now, right? Okay, yeah, it's here. So, that... it's so annoying to have to change that setting. Near here, like we look at connected areas, Thicket is nearby. And at the... Let's stop that loop. Sure, that works. So, just nearby is this place, right above it, where we have a Greater Mumbler. And that's... Sorry, I forgot the order. So, we're looking for an enemy that is kind of, like, special, right? If you know, Rutimer becomes Crow Mauler, High Priestess Celine should be somebody kind of special. And Greater Mumbler is kind of special. There, okay. So, first, there's, I mean, the name, it's like Greater Mumbler. It's like a, you know, higher level of a normal enemy. There are two of them, which is, I would say, the biggest issue with the theory. One is at the bottom of the thicket, and one is in the library in the hub. And what soul do you get? It doesn't mention it. Okay, I gotta check. Do mumblers have souls? That seems kind of important. I haven't actually checked that before. I'm opening up RPG Maker, which I'll have to change the settings. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, so... What was I looking? Okay, yeah. Do Greater Mumblers have souls? I haven't checked that yet. I'm opening up RPG Maker. Okay, here's the Greater Mumbler. And here is it when it's dead. It's... This is kind of strange. Let me, okay, let's go to a different song. Okay, I'll have to mess with the window capture for this. There's not really a clean way to do it. Okay, so this is now RPG Maker, but the thing is it opens up a window to show the event. So here I am at the Greater Mumbler, and I can edit it, then I have to change the window being captured to the one for the event. Okay, here's the Greater Mumbler, so this is regular tile. This is when it's dead. I do think it's a little odd that it isn't... Oh god, and now the window's gone entirely. I just want to check another Mumbler to compare, and I hadn't thought of doing this before. Okay, no. So it's kind of normal the way it's written. Is it back up again? Yeah, okay. So basically you just get a lesser soul, right? Yeah, you just get a lesser soul. So that's another point against it, is that it isn't actually a unique soul, but that's also related to there being two of them. Is this the right tab? Okay, yes. But I have... That's the negatives out of the way. Here are the reasons to believe this theory. So first, kind of an important enemy near where High Priestess Selene would be, right? Right above the bottom level where we know that she was. Second reason, this is a big one. Looks a lot like a priest, right? This is how the Dark Priests you find look. The Greater Mumbler holding out a lantern in like a very similar way, but it's, you know, they have like a paper lantern. The Greater Mumbler gets a weird thicket-like lantern. The Greater Mumbler is also foreshadowed like a boss, like when you jump down to the bottom of the thicket, right? And I think that's, you know, like even though there's two of them, both of them, like you hear the bell ringing even in the library in Mahab, so it seems like it's meant to be an important enemy. And same pose as the Dark Priests, also holding a lantern like the Dark Priests. And then you can talk to the Greater Mumbler, and you get something very interesting. So, unlike the regular Mumblers, you can eventually start to make sense of it. This is a little loud. Okay. Endless depths, thou art mine father. Corruption, thou art mine mother. That is based off of a Bible verse. I think I have it written down, actually. I keep forgetting I have my script for what the planned video open. Let's see. Job 17:14. It's not the same words, but it's very clearly based off of it. So, you know, quoting the Bible at you like a priest might. And then if you say there's no need for killing, they wave their lantern in a hypnotic pattern, which actually the priests do as well. I believe when you meet the priest waves his lantern in a trance. This waves her lantern in a hypnotic pattern, very similar. You realize the creature doesn't mean to kill you, but make you part of the ever-growing darkness. Kind of like a priest trying to convert you. Oh, it's at the bottom here. Job 17:14. I said to corruption, thou art my father, to the worm, thou art my mother and my sister. So, it does seem very much like a religious enemy, maybe a priest of mumblers. The gods do say, the new gods do say something about them, so there is one issue, which is Creations of the Black. Once a mumbler develops... There's a loud car. Okay. Creations of the Black, once a mumbler develops a consciousness, it can finally break free from the restraints of the god of the depths. Was it more like consciousness or enlightenment? It's hard to tell. These creatures don't function the same as humans do, no longer tied to be just a mindless servant of the god. No one knows their true ambitions. I guess the main issue is just, like, mumblers supposedly around for decades and eventually can become a greater mumbler, and this is, like, an immediate, you know, it's been a few months. Actually, that might be worth mentioning. I have a timeline of the dungeon and, like, how things happened. The private browsing is just to, like, hide, what do you call it? So it's less, like I have an account that I'm, like, signed into, and so this just, like, signs me out of everything, and, you know, it's like, it seems like an easier way to do things for videos. It's not like this is kind of loud. Is that accurate? Turn this down. Okay. Timeline of the dungeon. I do have something for that. I'll finish the mumbler first. So, yeah, it seems like a greater mumbler takes a while to appear, and it's only been a few months. But it does still kind of, like, consciousness or enlightenment. Enlightenment, like, some of the dark priests seek. And also, I mean, look at this. So, I think that's the majority of the reasons. Let me just review. Okay, I guess the big one is there are very few corrupted enemies, like by the god of the depths, that are female. It's just mumblers. So, where is it? Oh, and maybe, likely the Cave Mother. It's not, I mean, it's not certain that the Cave Mother used to be a human, but this would suggest it. It's a bit weird. Not beating the hentai game allegations. Anyway. So yeah, it's just like, this I think is the best candidate for High Priestess Selene. The best explanation for, like, what happened to her, beyond being, you know, just a corpse in one of the walls, or maybe a wolf mask. Or maybe have just been Nilvin the whole time, which, I don't know, I mean, how would Nilvin want to transfer Legard? Nilvin and Legard is kind of confusing, honestly, if you try to look into the details, but, okay, so the dungeon. That one, the main source is, I think a lot of people are kind of surprised by this. So, Captain's Diary 1, 16th of January, it's just about, like, Torture being a weirdo. Right? That's the only issue he even mentions about the dungeon at all. So this is probably things were effectively normal. These were the conditions the dungeon was made in, and, like, it's a weird place, but it isn't extremely hostile. Then 30th of April, 1590, we get Legard being transferred there. It's past that, actually. Legard has been there for at least a while. I think there's a better book to establish when he got there, but I'll have to look for that a bit. Actually, when does, my tabs are becoming a mess. Torturer's Notes 1. There's no date. Okay. So 30th of April, let me see. Yeah, basically Legard is here and things are becoming weird. Basically, things were it was a normal, horrible dungeon until Legard showed up, and either Legard or the Cube of the Depths, you know, probably could have been either of them, kind of like activated the God of the Depths to start doing stuff, you know, and making things horrible. So that's when Legard shows up. This is... So yeah, this is before Crowmauler has... This is as Crowmauler is happening. 5th of August. So Lagarde was captured, like, in April, early April maybe. And then in August, Chromewaller hasn't even shown up yet. I believe that Diary of an Unknown Guard is our last date, 16th of August. So the game is happening close to 16th of August. Because this has already been written, and it's about running out of food. So the writer of this is starving and turns to cannibalism. Which song is it? Okay. And turns to cannibalism. You know, there's a group. They become the wolf masks. So it's at least a little bit of time after this, like a few days. But not like 4 weeks, because they would have died of starvation. So it's sometime like late August. And I just think it's really funny that Lagarde got captured sometime in like early April, and this is happening in late August. And like what is she doing? What was she doing for 5 months? She absolutely didn't take the rush straight after him option at the start of the game. Tookie takes a... And like, I think... Doesn't this say... Yeah, you knew he didn't have much... You knew you didn't have much time before you'd be sentenced to death, so you had to act fast. Sorry, there's a loud car again. But, like... Well... She didn't act fast. I don't know. Like, not very good at acting fast, taking 5 months to get there. Okay, so I think that has covered all of those topics. I've not received any questions yet. If anybody has any questions about anything, I know it. I know every single thing about this game. Okay, so I'll I'll answer it. I guess the other thing I had planned isn't written down. It's... Oh, I might have written some of it somewhere. It's about Rare. Let's go here and clean a few of these up. So, actually, Hall of the Gods is still going to be helpful here. At least a little bit. Oh yeah, it's like Moon God or something? Yeah, okay, anyway. So, okay, so... Truth and... Actually, this page is useless. I need Truth Under the Moonlight. This is, to me, kind of the best description of Rare. Who of us doesn't cover their true face and hide behind a persona? In the broad daylight, we adopt a social role depending on the surrounding people. We put on a mask that works with the public image of our true personality. Do we hide our face to avoid the judgment of the people, or do we look down in shame as the sun watches our every move? A sun that knows our deepest longings and lustful thoughts. Only in the darkness of the night does the true and vile nature of men get revealed. I'm just going to look for... Sure, we do that one. We share our decrepit bodies only to the select few under the moonlight. Despite what lowly thieves covering the shadows would like you to think, the moonlight hides no one. So kind of the defining... somebody... Okay, about making these faster. I really want to make them faster. And yesterday, I saw... Just today, started getting recommended videos from yesterday. Somebody made a long video about Rare, and it's like, the moon god isn't what you think. And it's like, I don't know if their ideas overlap with mine. I think what I'm going to be saying is very original, so... hopefully not. But it's like, oh god, people are beating me to this stuff. This is the other kind of explanation of Rare. So... This paints Rare as kind of anti-human society. Like, oh, in the daylight, you're always in a social role. I'm just gonna... Sure, okay. you're putting on a mask and pretending to be somebody that it isn't who you really are. Who you really are is only revealed in the darkness when nobody can see you, and stuff like that. And I guess, okay, one of the big things, I think that my main point is how this relates to this weirdo. Because I think it's very interesting. Well, okay, there's two things, I guess. One is it's how it relates to Pocket Cat. One is how it relates to a theoretical sun god. Oh, hello. I have to look at I don't have two monitors, so I have to look at the chat by just bringing it up occasionally. Hello, X. Do you have any questions? Because I'm about to go on a rant about... I'm just about to talk about, like, Rare and a theoretical sun god, or maybe Pocket Cat. Okay, so... yeah, so Rare is kind of... One of the big things about Rare is, like, subverting human society, and, you know, that's part of what the Termina Festival is. It's like, let's make everybody kill each other. That'll mess up human society. Rare opposes humans becoming gods. That's the main thing Rare's doing in the first game and the second game. So, I'll go to the sun god thing, because I think that's interesting. I don't think anybody's really done that before. So, I don't think there's any... I mean, there isn't, like, a page on, like, sun god, because, yeah, the thing is they don't even have a name. There is one relevant page, this one. So, there's some stuff in the game that suggests there is a sun god, but there's not... Oh, actually, this is one of it. Give me a moment. The moon is one of the primordial entities... very much like the sun. Blah, blah, blah. It has lore and beliefs written since the dawn of time. So clearly, Enki knows about a sun god, and it's been there since the dawn of time, but we don't get to know for some reason. So we have to make, you know, wild theories based off of tiny bits of evidence that we find in places. Because Enki doesn't want to write about that, because he's too unoriginal, because he isn't even writing his own... Anyway, sorry. It's a joke. Okay, so... What we know about the sun god is very little. There is a cut dialogue... Oh, I guess I can't really find it from here. There's some cut dialogue from a cut version of Pericles' ending monologue, where he says, like, you humans used to always praying to your god of the sun for harvests. That doesn't do very much. And then there's the notes in Father Hugo's house that saying, like, return of the sun, return of the king. Whatever that means. So, one of our places to speculate would be the opposite of Rare, because Truth Under the Moonlight paints the sun in opposition to Rare. You know, the sun is what makes you hide in shame, because it's watching you, so don't do anything bad. And so, if the sun is in opposition to Rare, then the sun would kind of be like, you know, the mask that you wear in public to interact with people, the social role you take depending on circumstances, the person that you are when you... what is Percolate? Okay, that's a question. Percolate is... I mean, I think it's... Oh god, what did I do? Hopefully that wasn't visible. I opened a printing screen. So... yeah, that doesn't say much. I mean, I think Percolate is fairly straightforward. I'm trying to see. I think there's something that... I'm just trying to check something. For the most part, I mean, he's a cultist of sulfur. who is pretending to worship Rare. The only thing is, I feel like I'm trying to check if there's somewhere where he used to be a follower of Rare and then transitioned to Sulfur. I think it's more likely he did it the other way around. I'm going to check his dialogue in Termina. There's a very long monologue, and I will have to load up RPG Maker and load Termina in it, and then find the Moon Tower, and then edit the dialogue box. It's okay. Near the end of the game. Moon Tower, is that? No, it must be the other one. It's... Okay, here we are. Moon Tower. You can't see what I'm doing right now, I'm just looking through this stuff. So... I should have checked. I mean, is this monologue on here? It might be. Oh, yeah, it is actually. Okay, that's way easier. Let's see. Okay, so before day 3. So yeah. So what is the function of the festival if it lacks a greater purpose? We decided to give it one. Kind of sounds like he wasn't worshipping Rare before. He worshipped Sulfur and then he found Rare. Is this correct? Where? Okay, give me a moment. Where is it? Let me check. I know he says this. Here we go. This is one of the important lines. The moon god, while gone, his traces remain strong. And he says Rare has no consciousness, and I think he's a little underestimating how much consciousness Rare has. Because the Termina Festival that you're in is there to stop logic, whereas Percolate says it has no purpose. So I think he just doesn't know everything, right? So he can be wrong about things. Yeah, we decided to give it one. For hundreds of years we have followed wherever the moon god took us, and we reaped his harvest instead. So... yeah, is that... I feel like that's not that in-depth an answer. He worships the Sulfur god, which is like a split half of alll-mer, like all the bad parts that he removed and becoming a god. And yeah, so I guess the only interesting question is whether he used to be cultist of Rare, but yeah, I'm getting lost in my thoughts here, sorry. I'm gonna go back to what I was talking about, because people might be interested in that more so. So, okay, yeah, so this music's a bit distracting. This might have not been the best soundtrack to use. It's like, it's not exactly background music. Where is the Trickster God? Now Rare, well, I think Rare is gone to the extent that Percolate thinks, or not to the extent, but in the same way as the other old gods, but just that's slightly less gone than you might think. And that's kind of weird, but yeah, okay, my desktop has frozen and isn't loading pages. Okay. Okay, where is this? I'm trying to switch the music to play the Forest of Hope from Pikmin. Okay. So, the sun god. So, if the sun is in opposition to the moon, as said here, then the sun god would be kind of the opposite of rare. And so that would instead be a god of human society, of, you know, the mask that you put on when you're talking to people, the social role you're playing, the, like, sacrifices made for society to work. Whereas rare is about, like, tearing all of that down and kind of making people what they really are, even if, I mean, you know, it's, like, overly edgy to be like, I'm really a giant monster that kills people with a, like, people aren't actually giant monsters that kill people, but, you know, that's kind of the idea. So, the sun god is instead, like, society and you know, including the bad things, including everything bad that has to happen for it. And so, if there was a sun god that was kind of the opposite of rare, it would make sense if, I don't have that anymore. Where'd it go? Here it is. Okay, so the moon. If, you know, unlike rare, who is very much opposed to humans becoming gods, the sun god instead supported it, and in fact was maybe the first god to be replaced by a human to make an ascended god. Here is a direct quote that says alll-mer is kind of god of humanity. And rare is god of hating humanity, in a way. Like, you know, it's not just... Rare doesn't, like, actually truthfully turn you into what you secretly are. He makes you into big, horrible monsters. Is there a page for... like... This is what you really are. You're disgusting, and I mean, I think here it mentions, like, human filth. His blessing is his moonlight, which is said to uncover the truth under the human filth. It can be debated whether his version of the truth is more accurate than that of the human filth. You know, rare isn't always, like, actually true. The gods revolve around all concepts and silly created things. I mean, I don't know, in the sense of being a god of creation, yeah, that's kind of important, but just play Forest of Hope again. So, yeah, I guess I don't understand the comment. Okay, back to... what was I saying here? Maybe this format is flawed, because I'm, like, trying to ignore the comments for what I was talking about, and that's not really but like, if all I do is respond to comments, then I don't have any comments, because I'm not doing anything. Okay, so... what was it? So... and yeah, well, I mean, you know, the term in a festival is like, let's just make everybody kill each other, and only one can survive, and the survivor doesn't even get anything. I just hate all of you, and don't want you to be gods, and want you to die and fall apart. So then, you know, god of humanity could be the sun god that then is replaced by a representation of humanity, alll-mer, the ascended one. So that's, I think, actually, I was kind of unsure about the idea that, I think, like, evidence was there that alll-mer was likely the sun god, but wasn't necessarily, like, we didn't have, I felt like the firm proof wasn't actually there. And this still isn't firm proof, but I like it. Where'd Truth Under the Moonlight go? Yeah, the idea that human society is kind of the opposite of rare, and alll-mer is said to represent humanity. And I think human society as a whole is kind of alll-mer's, well, several parts of human society. So actually, okay, this is a big thing. So, skill list, hello? Okay, nope, I'm not very good at clicking it, apparently. So, alll-mer's skills, so, they're a bit strange initially, because they mention a lot of blood, and blood is Grogaroth, so that's kind of odd. We have Blood Portal, and then we have... These are also alll-mer skills, even though, you know, they have the symbol next to them, even though you don't get them with Affinity. So, these ones can kind of be classified as miracles. They're references to... These two certainly are references to Jesus. alll-mer also answers empty scrolls. That's alll-mer that does that, which is also kind of like miracles. Reference to, you know, Christianity and, like, prayer, which is also kind of a human society thing, because religion is a human society thing. So I think religion is likely... It's likely alll-mer's addition to the Sun God. The Sun God would have been a kind of god of human society, but then, you know, the God of the Depths changed to the God of Fear and Hunger and shares several concepts, but is significantly different. And so, this is, you know, alll-mer's edition is like religion, which, I mean, we can also see because he founded a religion. Let me see. So he... I don't like using the pages for the character. I prefer to find the books. This is Studies of alll-mer. So, alll-mer would gather 12 apostles, you know, Jesus reference, to bring back the old world order. And I believe what this is referring to is worshipping the old gods. Because new gods were being worshipped at the time, and alll-mer brought back, like, old god worship. Though it then fell out of style. It's a little complicated. It's not clear in the games. Like, it's not clear from what you directly see, but if you piece together, alll-mer is still worshipped during the first game. It's a bit weird because there's a lot of talk about, like, oh, the old gods have abandoned us, we're not worshipping them anymore. But then Dark has lines about, like, I mean, she tries to spread alll-mer to, yeah, I've served alll-mer as my primary god, like most people that come from Rondon. I tried to teach alll-mer's teaching to those cave-dwelling savages too. So, yeah, this is a noble of the Kingdom of Rondon who considers alll-mer her primary god, like most people from there. So in Termina, it seems like alll-mer is back, because everybody's worshipping alll-mer now, but alll-mer was excluded from the abandonment that the other old gods had. But alll-mer was still trying to bring back the old gods. There's a line, it's not super important, I'll just... Oh, it is her, if it's in here. Party talk. I have a video of all the party talks, so I could go there to show it. The center square. It's from the New Testament of alll-mer. The book shows the older god Grogaroth walking among men in the skies. So we know alll-mer has a New Testament, similar to Christianity. And it also mentions the older gods, you know, doing stuff. I imagine it kind of like, considering what we see of the religion in, like, Termina, it's kind of like the old gods are, I mean, this is the New Testament, and it mentions the older gods, but it's like the Old Testament has a lot of stuff that in Christianity is ignored, including, you know, like, including God, like, destroying tons of stuff, and it's like, and like ordering genocide, and it's like, oh, that kind of fits with like old gods in Fear and Hunger, but like we ignore, we somewhat ignore portion. It's like I had heard it explained once that the Old Testament is like the backstory. This is the explanation of what has happened, and like the New Testament is like what you need to listen to, and so. alll-mer that's probably what the religion in, like, Termina is like. The old gods are, like, the backstory that people don't pray to Sylvian so much, because Sylvian doesn't answer prayers anymore. And alll-mer is one people care about. I'm a little bit lost on where I was before I got onto that. I mean, I think the main point was alll-mer is a god of society and religion and humans. And the sun, I guess, though he doesn't seem to do much. Oh, I was looking at alll-mer's skills. So, I mean, and miracles are kind of, I don't know, like, how do they fit? You could argue it's like religion because it's a reference to Jesus. You could argue it's humanity because it's one of the few things gods actually... I'm onto Gen 1 Pokemon music. Sure. Because it's like one of the only things the old gods do for humans is alll-mer helping them with prayer. But then the other skill is Blood Portal, and in the second game he has Defense +1 and Blood Sword, and he still makes Blood Portals. And I think Blood, the reason alll-mer gets to be Blood, in addition to Gregaroth, is Mira thought it would be edgy, but also I think Blood is likely symbolizing, like, connection, like, you know, family is blood, and family is like a defining part of human society, and blood portal is literally connecting two places. So I think that's the symbolism in the blood of alll-mer's skills. Though alll-mer also has, you know, a lot of horrible stuff. I think that might be intentional, like, you know, human societies do horrible things sometimes. You know, so the blood of alll-mer boils and rages. So alll-mer is also kind of vengeance, you know, enforcing your will on people through force. You know, showing up and slaughtering the kings and sultans of the day and forcing them to worship you. So where is that? A symbol of hope and domination. I wonder... His arms still widespread is the symbol of domination. Is that like a direct reference to the meme about T-posing to assert dominance? Maybe. Yeah, he would murder the kings and sultans of the time. As was just. Bringing back the old world order. Sorry. Bringing back the old world order. So I think that's likely also... you like the first game because it has more cool night. That's true. Dark is cool. Like in the second game. Yeah, I don't think there's quite a replacement for her, so that's fair. Yeah, so alll-mer is like... also like vengeance and stuff, which are things human societies do, and I think it's probably like the, you know, sometimes genocide like level of force used in spreading religions. That's probably also an intentional part of it, because that's like one of the, you know, bad things that human society uses to function. I mean, it's not actually necessary, but people did it like it was necessary, and that's, you know, Rare's like, you know, that's, I don't know, that's a negative thing that is used to keep human society together, and that's, I think, fitting for alll-mer. I kind of like the old, so this is completely irrelevant, I kind of like the old Pokemon songs, but I feel like they peak a bit too high, like they're, I don't know, I thought I had music all sorted out before I started, and then it wasn't. Okay, yeah, so that was, I think, most of what I was saying about, most of my points about alll-mer is, and the sun god. I think this, you know, this establishes that the sun is opposite of Rare. This establishes that the sun should have a god. And so if there's a god that is the opposite of Rare, as defined by stuff like this and stuff like this, that would instead be a god of human society. And, you know, we have a god that is kind of a god of human society. It's alll-mer, and is specifically said to be human in this book, which I think a lot of people miss. I missed it for a long time too. People are like, what is alll-mer the god of? Well, this directly says alll-mer is a representation of humanity. This is the censored version of the book, but like, you know, for this, the point about considered equal is considered wrong by Enki, but their point that alll-mer is the god of humanity is fine. And so, if alll-mer is the god of humanity, that is the opposite of Rare, then that would mean there was an old god of the sun that, similar, you know, also in opposition to Rare, who opposes humans becoming gods, the god of the sun would be the first god to end up supporting a human's ascension to becoming a god by replacing them, which is alll-mer. So that's all my sun god theory. Maybe I should make, having said it all out like that, I feel like that could be a video if I actually wanted to. But it's a bit of an intimidating topic, because it's like, you know, you look at other sun god theories and they're like 40-minute videos, and anyway, any questions about the lore at all? Because that was my topics I was covered. I could potentially talk about weird ideas about Pocket Cat, but they aren't important, so yes, I'm just asking chat for any, oh, and 2 viewers, I lost 2 viewers by asking for questions, maybe, that might have been why they did it. I have a ton of stuff about the God of the Depths that I'm preparing for a video. Preparing for a video is strange terminology, because I started writing it, I think, an entire year ago, and I was like, let's wait for the update. The update could absolutely be relevant. I mean, there is an enemy that looks like a leech, and that's the God of the Depths thing, so oh yeah, you just got here. That's fine. You can ask about anything. I tried to summarize the alll-mer and sun god thing really quickly, but I went over it, like, you know, over the last 10 minutes, but I saw there were new people, so I tried to quickly summarize what I'd been saying. So, yeah, I have a lot of stuff about the God of the Depths that I want to make into a video, but I was like, oh, let's wait for the update. The update will be any day now. It'll be any day now. It's been an entire year and it hasn't happened. So I'm still waiting, because now it's actually any day now. It wasn't any day now last time, but now it is. Any day now, it'll happen. It's a really big video, and I have lots. So yeah, if anybody wants to know about the God of the Depths, I mean, I could start going on about some of it. I have the whole. I mean, this is going to be a whole video, so I guess like one of my interesting notes is to kind of. I'll quickly define the God of the Depths. Ooh, what if I gave? Okay. I'm gonna read from my script. This is a preview of my video I've been working on for an entire year. Well, I haven't been working on it for a year. It was mostly done a year ago. Where is it? It's one of Ragnvaldr's lines. I'll just find it here. So, the God of the Depths. Yeah, yes. He is not that well-known god, as he is mostly worshipped by those who are forsaken and forgotten. His people often shy away from light and prefer dark corners of the earth. You've seen the cave dwellers yet? They prove my point quite well. The God of the Depths is responsible for the layout of these dungeons. He is ever changing his shape to challenge his visitors. So, I think this is the best description of what the God of the Depths is about. Hunger update tomorrow. Yeah, it'll be tomorrow. Forsaken and forgotten. So, okay, wait. Let me read the thing, if I can find it. Here it is. So he also says at some point, when you're at the, where is it? This is the God of the Depths. I've always been curious about this. Oh, that's not the right one. I guess when you... Okay, this is the talk command, but when you interact with the god, he says, she loves those rejected and forsaken, as she is herself very different from the rest of the older gods. So, like, forgotten, rejected, forsaken is, I think, the greater theme of the God of the Depths. So, like, Enki is a priest, probably of like Grogeroth and God of the Depths. He uses both skills in his in battle when you recruit him or when you fight him. And so, like Enki, when he is defeated and cast out from his home, thrown into a well to die, literally underground, he finds insects and learns their language, which isn't something you just do. He was blessed by the God of the Depths. So he's, you know, really fitting into the God of the Depths. Or things like, you know, caves, which is the most obvious, you know, is like God of Caves. That's what the Depths are. Where, you know, they're kind of neutral, but people don't go into them often. Or swarms of bugs, which is the majority of the God of the Depths skills. Needleworm and mastery over insects and locust swarm. Or carrion birds eating rotting corpses. The horrible monsters you spend most of the game fighting. Oh yeah, sorry about the username. It's sometimes people have the same name. I've been using this since like 2011. Well, not Orange Posting, but the channel, I've been called Orange on the internet since like 2011, and I decided to use that into my YouTube channel because I thought that would be fitting. And I made it long before I heard about Fear and Hunger, and it's a bit awkward. Okay, God of the Depths is referred to by Ragnvaldr as male and as female. Just kind of at random. There is, I mean, okay, the Greater Mumbler that came up earlier. I'm wondering, endless depths, thou art mine father, corruption, thou art mine mother. Like, is this, like, the depths are male and the corruption is female? It might relate to, This is also Ragnvalder dialogue. Where is it? Oh god. Where was it? Okay, Ragnvalder dialogue. At the backyard. The tree is, how do you say it, magnificent. It's the maiden of the depths, the human bridge of the god that form these dungeons. And so, the big tree in this backyard, it's got like, you know, the hair at the top there, is like part of the god of the depths, and it's specifically the maiden of the depths, which I'm like, is the maiden like the female part of the god of the depths or something? I don't care like too much, but it's just this line specifically made me think about it. Like, one is one part of the god of the depths your father and the other part your mother. I don't know. Okay, so the line about the god of the depths wasn't working as well as I thought. Because I was trying to read out my favorite part of the script I have, but I realized I needed context. And I had a different idea for what I was going to do for a moment. I'm like lost. I went on a bunch of tangents. Yeah, this is the wife of the god of the depths. What was I going on about? I had an idea for something kind of interesting. I have the VTuber. I haven't been looking at it. It's it's not great. The PNG tuber model. It's been blocked every time I look at the OBS. The chat was covering it, and I forgot it was there for a bit. I'm just trying that out. I'm unsure about it. Oh yeah, what was I going to say? I had some like great idea for something that I came across at some point and was like, oh, that's an interesting... Oh, okay, I remember. Okay. I'm gonna close the window for a moment and open a new page. // Okay, so yeah, this should be good now. So I have a Reddit account for this for the channel. And I have... wait. Never mind. I got something wrong. That's a different Reddit account. Don't talk about that one. Okay, I don't know then. Ragnvalder, okay, this is one thing. When he says "ya," he does this like... I don't know how to speak English. Or, he knows how, but it's like a weird... Do people do this in real life, or is this just like a trope? Like, you say "ya," yes. Like, he says "ya" a lot. Anyway, that's the Danish or Swedish version of it, I believe. Danish, Swedish, and Norwegian, very similar. But this specific spelling is the Danish or Swedish version. And in Dungeon Knights, which they don't have in here, Oh no, they don't. They have a section made for it, they don't have anything there. In Dungeon Knights he says like, "Hi, how are you?" in Swedish. It's like a very first thing you learn in Swedish class kind of phrase. And it makes sense because Mirror is Finnish, and they have some mandatory Swedish classes there, so... I just, you know, it's of interest that Ragnvalder is specifically Swedish. Though his eventual descendant, August, has the skill... I this is a mess, has the skill Sisu, which is a very Finnish thing. Look it up if you haven't heard of it before. It's like, people say it's like, this is the defining trait of Finland, is this. I'm unsure how to pronounce it. So, Odegaard is also Finland, and Sweden, and probably includes like Norway and Denmark too. It's not that interesting a topic, it's just something I remembered. I might, I'm gonna close this again so I can open up a different tab again. It's just like, in the Pokemon, talking about Pokemon video, which was edited after, so it was fine, but I noticed the college I went to was one of like the first things that appeared when I started typing in a URL, and so I had to censor that to just hide things, and so I'm being careful. Damn Pocket Cat. That will probably do it. Here we go. No commentary archive.
Stuck at the DMV, and I think I'm late on my car insurance.
I just realized the audio would play. Okay. So this, I'm not sure if I have a great explanation for this. Once again. Okay. We'll just... I'm gonna try explaining this a bit, because I've had some interesting ideas, but... Let's see. So... He mentions... something. You never quite felt quite right when you were among those smiling crowds, did you? You always felt like an outsider, like you were just a bystander, spectating what life looked like in the sun. Like using a mask? Where is it? Mask? You hid the darkness? You also have a bunch of talk about darkness, which is kind of complicated. Sure, Ice Path is a good one. Oh, I have so many tabs open. Okay. The darkness. But that fooled no one. Everyone saw right through it. They knew your alignment. You liked feeling different. There never was a mask. It was all you, baby. The pointy ears. A dirty, degenerate furry. We all know the line. It's a good one. So, there's a lot of references to the first game or better or the second. Which one do I like better? For lore, I mean, yeah, I've always known them together. Like, I haven't ever considered them separate in lore. So it's a bit difficult. I think... The first one ends up simple in a lot of ways, because it's establishing more. So, like, I don't find, like, studies of Grogeroth to be that interesting. It's kind of interesting. Though, like, I think Venushka helps improve this setup between the duality between these two. And there's only like there's only a few, there's not many like big secrets to the first game. I think the biggest is there's some people that say the old gods likely didn't ever exist, and that's kind of like the big thing to think about there. So I guess I mostly prefer the second one, but it's a bit weird to think of them as separate to me. Okay, I can go back to Pocket Cat. there are several references to, in this talk, there are several references to concepts. I'm just looking for music again. Okay. Several references to concepts from The Truth Under the Moonlight. And to me, it's always been kind of confusing how it directly relates. But I think I kind of get it now, and like how basically how Pocket Cat relates to this part of Rare is what's mainly important, what I'm mainly discussing. So, dialogue will be helpful. So I think the interesting thing about Pocket Cat is he's literally always wearing a mask. He might literally be the mask, which is a thing Rare is opposed to, masking your personality. But I think the interesting thing about Pocket Cat is that he is a mask. He wears a mask and like hides who he is, but doesn't actually, like, he still reveals his true and vile nature to you pretty quickly. So he doesn't hide himself at all. Like, you meet him and like he's immediately like getting into deep discussion. Got that right, I'm liking you already. I know we just met, but I feel a connection forming here. Do you mind if I ask a straight? Leaving humans are divided into two groups, right? Children of light, children of darkness. And he's like, you meet him and he's like, I'm gonna talk about like my philosophy toward life to you the instant I meet you. Because he has no hiding. He has no hiding what he is. He sees you and he's open immediately. And he goes on and he talks about like he almost immediately asks you if you love him, right? He's I don't know if no filter is the right word. That could maybe be how you describe it, and I think that kind of fits with the idea of Rare. So, and then, anyway, I'm a merchant. I like to buy human children. Really revealing the true and vile nature almost immediately, even though he is wearing a mask. So I think that's kind of an interesting comparison to these concepts. And as for this, I'm trying to remember what this is. I think this was mainly important for helping me realize that, that Dan was using a mask and hiding the darkness, but, everybody knew him anyway, and he liked that, so it's, I guess, similar. I honestly forget what the relevance of every line in this was. It was a while ago I was thinking about this, and I haven't written it down. But yeah, I think that's just an interesting depth for Pocket Cat. That he does relate to concepts very important to Rare. It's just a little bit indirect, because he's, messing with it a bit, because he's wearing a mask, but he's also completely open. He's not hiding himself. He's not changing how he acts for society. He'll, rub his pocket right in front of you. Right there. Just rub himself right in front of you. He makes no concessions for society. He eats children, so yeah, that actually fits for Rare, I think. Yeah, okay, those were the topics I had planned to talk about. You want to replay the game right now? Okay, yeah. Which one? First one? I I mean, that's the main one I've been talking about, I think. I still need to get the S endings. I've gotten the easy 2, but like, I got part of the way to Enki's S ending, but I messed up, and it was really frustrating, and I was like, oh god, I don't want to do that again. Locust Swarm does not work on, that's not how you spell guard. Guard. Infected. Locust Swarm does not work on the Brain Flower. It is immune to blindness and confusion. So that will kill you if you try to use Locust Swarm to defeat the infected guard. First one and the second one. Yeah. Have you got... Yeah. I mean... Yeah. I find it... I haven't, like, played the game on its own in a while, but I'll play the game to get footage, and doing that is kind of fun, because it's like I have a different objective in the game. So, like, there's not... I've done the majority of what you could do in Termina, other than, like, weird challenges, or I haven't played as Olivia. I guess that would be a challenge left. But, like, playing to get footage is, like, giving me an objective. Okay. I think if there aren't any questions, I'll probably stop soon. I've gone for an hour and a half, which seems good to me. An hour and 20 minutes. I've answered... I've had my topics I was prepared to talk about without a script. And I didn't do as good at answering questions as I was thinking I would, because I was distracted by the other topics. And I didn't, get a ton of questions, but I could have done better. So you have until the end of Route 1 in exactly 1 minute to ask any remaining questions. Oh, what do you think of the PNG tuber thing? It just indicates when I'm talking, but not very well, and I don't know. I mean, other channels have them, like Mao is a PNG tuber, I think. So I thought I'd try it. I forget why I'm looking at this. Okay, I was just gonna say, I think it's kind of interesting. So the God of the Depths is responsible for, like, this isn't God of the Depths, this is God of the Depths, not God of the Depths, God of the Depths, possibly God of the Depths, God of the Depths, not God of the Depths, probably... It's like the majority of the enemies inside the dungeon. Game 3, they're kind of... They did kind of introduce leveling up in Termina with Soul Stones. Because you get these by defeating enemies and cutting their heads off, and so each one of them is like a third of a level, and then you get a skill point, right? It's a little bit more... There's like steps in between it. But they did kind of add leveling in Termina, which I think... I think one of the nice things about the first game was the way it didn't have one. And so it can be like a little bit tedious that, like, there's a bunch of weak enemies early on that look to be there, so you can, like, grind experience effectively by getting their heads and getting soulstone shards. I'm kind of critical of the design of a lot of the design decisions in Termina. I mean, I think it's still mostly a good game, but it's like... this is kind of like... they added level grinding in a way. Or they, singular person, Nero, added level grinding. I think... though I've heard the enemy design is going to be better in the update. I think you asked about the update earlier. Mira's just been talking on Twitter and now Blue Sky about the update for a long time. There's a lot of previews of stuff that'll be added, and there's been a lot of talk about it, and it's been over 2 years since the previous update, so like it's going to be a really big one. But we don't know when it'll be, and I thought it would happen like October 2023, and it did not happen. I have an old video where I was like, the update will probably be in like a month, so I think until then I'll just make like I was gonna make a video on all, like a complete guide to ritual circles and affinity and stuff, but I was like, any day now it could update. And so it is in play testing, and there's going to be a lot of bug fixing, but it will release in months now. It could be tomorrow, maybe. Anyway, what I meant about like enemy design, and I heard this was going to be fixed because it's a common enough criticism it reached Miro. A lot of enemies have like 1,000 torso health and 750 arm health. So there's no world where you'd ever bother attacking the arms, because attacking one is most of the way to just ending the battle. And attacking two, you could have won the battle an entire turn ago if you go out of your way to destroy both arms. And so, just pausing for the loud car. There's more people here. I was about to end the stream, but I'm waiting for any lore questions. I already talked about my pre-planned topics. So if you have any questions about the lore, I'm just talking about the update right now, but I can switch to lore questions at any moment. So, what was I saying? Yeah, you'd never... There's a lot of enemies where the design is kind of like this, where they have way too much arm health relative to torso health, so the best strategy... It's more about, like, making yourself strong enough to do this much damage quickly, than about figuring out how to beat each enemy. And they did improve the character stuff, because, like, I mean, I said, you know, they added the addition of level grinding, in a way, but there is a way bigger hexing table that has a lot more skills, and you can actually do some pretty interesting stuff with this. So I don't, like, I was being critical, but there is a, like, it seems like there is a vision to the changes. The change is, it's less about learning the individual enemy and more about building your character from these, you know, massively expanded skills, which still works. So I don't think that's, like, horrible, but I could maybe, you know, improve some of the enemy designs. I wonder if there's a page for just, like, lore. No. Okay. Yeah. I've any lore topics of interest? Cause I had some, yeah, I had a few pre-planned ones for a while there weren't any questions, and I ran out of those. Something I find interesting, just random things I've noticed recently. There's some dialogue with Nasra in Mahab where he mentions ruling with other new gods. Let me skip this, sorry. Music. Sure. Where he mentions ruling with other new gods before he left Mahab and became a great conqueror or whatever. And I found it, I was like thinking for a bit about like, we know these 4 new gods were together in a group of 4, and theoretically the player characters could be a set of new gods in a group of 4. And there's 4 in Termina that you can summon, I think? Yeah, the more new ones that count. So it's like, are there always 4 new gods at a time or something? And the floating head guy in the first game. Yeah, Nasra is still alive in Termina. You need to play as Osa. Pausing for loud cars. Yeah, it's here. Play as Osa. He has a whole text adventure. The wiki's guide to it isn't very good, probably because it's too long to put into this window. But you meet Nasra at the end of it, and you bring Nasra with you. Nasra is an item. He's gone from party member to item. I do think that's pretty funny. Beheaded wizard. Yeah. So he's barely alive. I believe this is pretty good evidence to think that all of the new gods are completely immortal, like unkillable. Because this is kind of implied to have been Nasra after he's attacked by the traces of Grogaroth. The god of destruction was unable to destroy Nasra. They partially destroy, they can take permanent injury, but not die. So he's got almost nothing left, but he doesn't want to go to the hall. It seems like New Gods going to the Hall of the Gods is, what do you call it? Voluntary. They just choose when to go to it. So like Nilvin probably gives you her soul and maybe watches for a bit and then goes to the hall. But after you fight the Tormented One and Voltiel, you can come back in the present and find them still there. And like the Tormented One can hardly even breathe, but he's still alive too. And Voltiel's hanging himself, but is still alive and talking to you. So Francois, it does seem like you kill, but presumably he gave up when you killed him, I guess. When you cut his head off. Most new gods aren't Nasra, the most powerful wizard in history, so they don't bother going on as a severed head. But Nasra hates all the other new gods so much he would never go here. So even as a severed head, he's still around, and even as a completely like rotted, there's nothing left of him severed head, he's still not going to the hall. And yeah, a third game appearance would be pretty cool. I know in Osa's B ending, he tosses Nasra into a lake. But I think Osa probably gets ending A. We might see... I mean, I know this, I just want to have it on screen. So, he's found in Tunnel 1, where he's investigating one of the telelectroscopes. He even asks you about it. He just walks away if you say nothing. You're alright. Yeah, do you understand this machine and its technology? And that gets him to join you. Yeah, that's actually the way to get him to join you. So Nasra Osa is there investigating the telelectroscopes. And that's how you get to ending A, right? Have an NPC, I think that's a good indication of what Osa would be doing, like on his own. Similarly, Abella also investigates one of the tunnels on her own, potentially finding one of the telelectroscopes. So I think, like, ending A, Osa and Abella have good reason to suspect they'd have it. And then Olivia, because it's their sister. And so that would mean Nasra might be in there too, which would be interesting. I do wonder what logic's going to be like in the next game, and to what extent will we know what happened to people from Termina? Because Termina has a lot more characters, and a lot are likely to not be noticeable. Because in Termina, we have clear evidence. I mean, Enki's literally writing books. There's very clear evidence of what he does. Roggenwalder is pretty clearly implied with August. I have playthrough. I don't have a playthrough myself. I've considered doing it, but I know I know the whole game already. It's not like a blind playthrough or anything, so I feel like it might be not what people are looking for, but maybe if people want to see, like, playing the game and knowing a lot about it already, it probably wouldn't be too difficult, so I could do that. So yeah, I was talking about, let's switch music a bit. Cerulean City is pretty good. I'm not playing Pokemon music because I thought it was most fitting, but it's because I have a folder for music, and you know what? Let's do Dwarf Fortress music. It'll take a moment to load. So, from the first game, Roggenwalder and Enki are easily trackable. The S endings, that's a good idea, because I haven't actually done Enki or Roggenwalder's S ending, so I could do that. Let's switch to the Dwarf Fortress music here. It's in one of my folders. Okay, so Enki and Roggenwalder, it's very clear. Dark is not clear what exactly happened, but it is very clear that Lagarde is alive, and that she would have been the one to do it. And so that leaves Kahara, who is not just a process of elimination. A lot of people frame it as a process of elimination for ending A. And you can do that. That does get you Kahara must have done ending A, because the God of Fear and Hunger exists. So somebody had to have gone into the gauntlet. And Kahara we see no other evidence of, so it would have been him. This is something I've wanted to make a video about too, but figuring out how to do it exactly is difficult. Kahara is an orphan, right? He never even knew his parents. He learns lockpicking in his backstory. He has the Endless Soul, and during the game, right before the beginning of it, he meets with his, maybe not wife yet, but does eventually marry Celeste, and talks about how he wants to change from this life that he's been living, where he just runs away from anything. He gets into the dungeon, and finds something so horrible he can never run away from it. He has some lines about it. They might not be here, but they could be. Low mind. This darkness. Is this it? Maybe the void? There we go. So the void is actually huge for... I think the void kind of shows the conclusion of each character's arc as an NPC. I had a video that I was trying to write, and I couldn't figure out how best to do it. This, I never seriously contemplated on the idea of suicide. I always figured you could just start your life over in a new part of the world, leave all the dirt and past sins behind. I've done so many times before. But these dungeons, man, the anxiety and oppressiveness are slowly eating away at my stature. They're suffocating me. I just can't see the light of hope anywhere. Death would be a simple answer. So Kahara becomes suicidal after the dungeons. An interesting thing, so this text was originally written for meeting Kahara in the caverns. He would be like sitting at the edge of the caverns, and it was eventually repurposed for the void. But these dungeons, man, you're not in a dungeon anymore. You went through Mahab, which isn't a dungeon, and then you went into the Void, which isn't a dungeon. So you can still see, like, this indicated it was written for earlier, but I guess what's important is it's not the Void itself that makes him consider suicide, it's the whole dungeons. So, but after thinking about it, he decides, I'm tired of all this doom and gloom, let's do this. Let's die while trying, yeah? And his dialogue's a little bit buggy. This Dark is supposed to say this line, I'm pretty sure. So, basically, you know, his story goes that he, you know, had been running from all of his problems and finally encounters extreme trauma that he can't run from, which you also see in his S ending. And he considers suicide, but he decides he's going to die while trying, which I think is, like, he means, like, do something with our death. Like, I'm probably gonna die doing this. I mean, he's in the Void, so he's probably gonna die doing something, but, like, let's do something instead, you know, and die. Let's do, instead of just killing myself, let's kill myself by doing something. And that's a lot like ending A. So, the girl, is also an orphan who may have not ever seen her parents, though it's kind of, I mean, she recognizes Lagarde, so it's unclear how much of her parents have been with her, but she's scared. Oh, I mean, she has seen her parents. She's scared of her mother. She's scared of Nilvin when you bring her to her. So, you know, still effectively an orphan. And Kahara sees her early on, uses the lock-picking skill to pick the door of the cage, which he can easily do. I just, you know, think that's it. Whatever. And as part of trying to change how he's been living his life, his kind of wife is pregnant, and it might not be his, given it's his kind of wife is a prostitute. But either way, he's concerned for her well-being and his ability to raise a child as he currently is. So he's trying to get to the point where he can do that. So he sees the child and you know, saves her from the cage using lockpicking. This child was also an orphan, similar to anyway. There's a lot of connections between these characters. I believe this is, like, effectively the main story that the game Fear and Hunger is, like, built around, is how much there is between them. So he adopts her, kind of, and goes through the dungeon, and in the all party talks video you can see he really likes the Tower of Endless. Let me get that, actually. Party talk. This, what's this? What's that tower? I kind of like it. And so we know that NPC Kahara would like the Tower of the Endless and likely be the one to go into it and have the dream with Nilvin. And so he's also likely to be with the girl. And he, you know, goes into the tower and for some reason agrees to Nilvin's offer. That's kind of the most strange part of this, because what Nilvin says doesn't sound good. It's like, take my child to the heart of darkness. Like, okay. But anyway, he gets Nilvin's soul from that and wants to keep his word, so he tries going there, and, you know, probably like Ragnvald or Enki kills the god of the depths. Kahara might be there when it happens, but he then, eventually goes back up to the altar, which is obvious, certain death. It smells horrible, it is horrible in every way. Nobody would ever want to go in there. It is effectively suicide. It is effectively suicide. It is effectively suicide to go into the God of the Depths. But it's doing something. So if he has reason to believe that this is doing something good, he would do it. He would go into the God of the Depths and get ending A. Alright, I think that was my Kahara rant about why Kahara ending A is not just process of elimination. And I just remembered I got completely sidetracked. I was actually talking about, like, Termina has 14 characters. You gotta explain what happens to them. So, like, is Mira gonna figure out how to get Levi's mark on history into Fear and Hunger 3? I kind of doubt it. So, we're a lot less likely to know what happened to every character. I do suspect that the characters that go into logic will get something. The three I'm most certain would go into logic are these. I'm, like, pretty certain about these. Another thing about Osa I hadn't mentioned. You see him investigating the teleelectroscopes. The reason he's at the festival is because Nasra told him to go there. The reason Nasra did that is because he knows Lagarde will be there. And he wants Osa to find Lagarde. And how do you find Lagarde? Ending A. Olivia's looking for her sister. Abella is there to find Ryla too. The woman with, like, ruby shoes. She's a part of the NLU. She can, as an NPC, be found investigating their letters in, like, the speakeasy. So it's all completely fitting for these three. The fourth one is kind of a hard choice. I lean to Marco going just to protect Olivia, but it isn't an easy choice. I know some people like Karen because she would be investigating stuff. She also investigates the NLU a bit. I feel like she would avoid going to certain death so she can report on stuff. And other than those two are kind of the main candidates for the fourth person. I don't think I've seen much proposal for, like, Dan, Levi, or Marina. So yeah, as I was saying, I suspect that the ones that go into logic will be able to appear in some way. It's not clear exactly what logic is, but in some way you'll probably see them in logic. Which might be Nasra too. Because Nasra is going with Osa. So Nasra likely makes it into logic. Whatever that exactly means. So that is how Nasra can appear in Fear and Hunger 3. That's that's my, like, 15-minute full of tangents explanation of how I think Nasra will be in Fear and Hunger 3. Then the others, like Dan, just give Pocket Cat checkered pants. That'll indicate what happened to him. Karen, maybe she writes something. You find an old news report somewhere, a book written by Karen. Levi and Marina, I kind of suspect we just won't see. Levi will have nothing. Marina, maybe something occult related, because, like what Enki does, but I think there's a good chance we won't see her either. And like these weirdos, like if someone died during Termina, you have no way, there's not much way to prove that. I'm pretty certain Henrik, Saint-Marie, August, Pav, Caligula, all dying. That's why they're the non-playable characters. I think I heard in early versions of the game you couldn't save Saint-Marie. Like on release, Saint-Marie always died. Tanaka lives though. Tanaka obviously lives. I think we all know that one, right? He's the most powerful character, and there's no way that he would die. But how do you even show that he's alive in Fear and Hunger 3? It's very hard to say. So oh god, I need to drink water. Okay, I think I do need to end soon, regardless of whether I have topics to keep talking about or not. We've been going for about 2 hours. That feels pretty good to me. And yeah, people are leaving. Okay, great. So yeah, goodbye. I will. God, there are a lot of buttons here. Stop streaming. Goodbye.